This is the MGTOWinfinium here with another Infinium training session. This Infinium training session is entitled The Christian Chameleon. My brothers, we all know chameleons, that is, women who change themselves to adapt to whatever condition they need to, represent a threat to our overall freedom as men. However, of all the chameleon types, it is the Christian chameleon which is the most despicable. This is because women who use a veil of Christianity will do anything and everything to men who engage with them. My brothers, it is important to understand that as more men embrace the MGTOW philosophy, so will the desperation of women who will use the Christian faith as a means to entrap men. And once men are entrapped, say into marriages with Christian chameleons, they will be subject to a doubling of women's cray-cray due to having to deal with the variability of their whims, the woman's overriding can't touch this godliness factor, and their own ensuing personal faith conflict created by the aforementioned. It is also important to understand, although there are high-profile men whose lives are being affected by their Christian wives who have divorced them, what is happening to these men can also happen to you. As such, the following can be said of a woman who is a Christian chameleon. Number 1, she will use the Christian faith as a way of bridging to you. Bridging, simply put, is a woman's way of creating a connection by which she can infiltrate into your life. So, for instance, a Christian chameleon may use an invitation to a Bible study, church service, etc. as a way of building a bridge which she then uses to infiltrate into a man's life. Number 2, she will use a veil of Christian holiness and dedication to conceal what she really is. For instance, a Christian chameleon may be engaged in regular church attendance and or participating in important church functions like choir director all the way to being a pastor. The truth and reality of the matter is that a Christian chameleon is only using the aforementioned to hide what she really is, a 304. Number 3, she will use shaming and manipulation in order to force a man to marry her. Here, the Christian chameleon uses a false construct that single men must marry in order to be right with God. This is a direct manipulation of both the man's sense of nobility and his understanding of what the Bible actually says about marriage. Furthermore, when this involves single mothers who are Christian chameleons, the shaming and manipulation becomes more intense because under this false construct, single men must do their duty by taking care of her children. As well, under this false construct, men who profess Christ but refuse to marry will be automatically sent to hell. In reality, there is no construct which is inclusive of marriage given in the Bible which requires men to marry. Furthermore, the only requirement given in the Bible is one's profession that Jesus is Lord of their lives. Finally, the Bible actually advises men to stay single if they can because of the pressures and issues faced in marriage. Number 4, she will use Christianity to force submission upon the man by elevating her worth over his worth. Here, the woman uses a form of shaming that creates a sense of incompleteness in the man she is married to. In other words, he would be nothing had God not brought her into his life. This forces men to put women on a pedestal whereby they bow down to them while at the same time submit to their whims, cray-cray, and aberrant behavior. Under such conditions, a man married to a Christian chameleon can be subjected to anything ranging from her overspending to her demands for an open marriage. Number 5, she will in no way fully submit to her husband. Because the institutional church is rife with womanism, it promotes the notion that Christian women should not submit to their husbands, and that furthermore, it is men who need to submit to women. This is in direct contradiction to what is stated in the Bible, that wives must unconditionally submit to their husbands and that husbands are the head of the wife. Number 6, the adage, "It's just your turn with her," also applies to the Christian chameleon. This means that she will ignore the vows taken in marriage because those vows are meaningless to her. At any point and for any reason, inevitably and invariably, the Christian chameleon will end her marriage to her man. That being said, it is men who are left with the false guilt, the mental torment, and the hypocritical shaming because of the men must fall on the swords factor no matter what, which is promoted by womanism. Number 7. Inevitably and invariably, when the relationship with a Christian chameleon ends, the man involved will receive the weight of the blame. As well, any minor mistakes made on his part will be greatly exacerbated over her bad behavior. For instance, a Christian chameleon may use the man's tendencies as a workaholic as a tool to blame him for her infidelity. Here, his bad tendencies are used as a weapon of unfair blame upon him, which falsely and fully incriminates him in every way possible. In other words, he will be blamed for the relationship failure by the church, court systems, the woman's family, and in some cases his very own family. In reality, his bad tendencies as a workaholic were only his way of doing what most men do when it comes to their marriages, working his butt off to ensure that his wife was provided for. My brothers, it is important to understand that it is your freedom as a man which is at stake, not the selfishness of a woman who hides herself behind a veil of Christianity for the purpose of infiltration into your life. As such, a Christian chameleon who comes to your table is of no benefit to you as a man in every way possible. Remember also, it is a fallacy and a lie that you as a man are incomplete without a woman being in your life. And finally, that you as a MGTOW man has every right to travel along the roadway to freedom, regardless of any Christian chameleon and their hypocritical condemnation. This is the MGTOWinfinium, and this has been an Infinium training session. My MGTOW brothers, as always, stay safe, stay strong, stay on the MGTOW path, and remember, MGTOW is the liberation of men's minds. MGTOW cannot and will not be stopped.